Assalamu alaikum. Asante sana. Jambo. Namaskar. Hi. Oh. As I always say, if I forget any greetings, excuse me for that forgetting. I don't want to take up the most of the video just greeting in all the different versions and languages and cultures, across the board. I greet you with the most humble, genuine greeting I can greet you with, and that's a greeting of love with the intent of harmony and balance, unity and oneness, peace and well intent toward all of you. I'm coming on right now because I had something in my spirit, and I've also talked with a couple other people about doing it, and they were like, yeah, go ahead, take a shot at it, just knock yourself out, go for it. So what I'm going to do, this was on my heart. I read some books, I read different books, but most of what I get, it comes from within, and the books are also confirming a lot of what was already in all of us, not just me, in all of us. But a lot of us are afraid to even go there and think about these things because we've been conditioned and programmed to believe that looking within is a sin. And what I mean by that, you're programmed to believe that looking within and trying to pay attention to yourself and understand or understand your own self and your own true nature. You're so used to being conditioned to look outside of yourself for so much guidance, understanding, knowledge, even wisdom. You look for wisdom outside of yourself, but you don't really grasp the wisdom until you can recognize it from within you. You see, when you recognize the knowledge and the wisdom from within yourself, it settles, it sets. It's not something that you can lose anymore. Now you may go through the fluxes of life, the ups and the downs. You may go through that. Even the flux of existence, life and death, you may go through that. But what notices and sees it is always the same. It's always, and when I say same, I mean it always is. No matter what kind of changes it perceives or observes, it always is. And that it is you and I, as the I, that am, the source of origin of source, as I always say, the consciousness, Most High, whatever name you have for it, Allah, God, the Christ or the Christ, Shiva, Buddha, all of these ones, Krishna. I mean, the names go on and on. In some of our ancient ancestors in neighboring cousins' languages, the Ori, the Orisha, the Eshu or Eshu, Jehu, Jeru, Cheru, Seru, all of them, all of the Ims and the Im or Teps, the El of Im or Haim, all of these I can just go on and explaining these, and I know it sounds like some craziness what I'm talking about, but this is insight that comes from here. It does not come from knowledge. It does not come from what's written in books or etched in stone. It comes from the place that inspired those people to write it in books and etch it in stone. That's where it comes from. And I can't even say it's a place. It's more of a presence. It comes from presence. So I'm not sharing with you in a sense of saying, well, this is secret knowledge I'm passing on to you. This is no secret. If you can tap into the self that you are, the true self, the true presence within you, you know this same. The I that knows these things is the same you that knows, it's the same I that you are. It's the same I. We are all this I. We are all this I. You know, thanks to many sages like Papaji and Muji and Maharishi Khan and many of the other one. I could just name them all. Dev Guru. So many gurus and sages and prophets or divine inspired and divinely guided beings that are here sharing this experience with us, that are still aware of this right now connection that we all are experiencing right now, that we all simply are. I can't even put a word to that. It just, you are this connection. So knowing this, being actively aware of this, it appears like a change in you or the individual or the being that is perceived as an individual presents a type of appearing change, if I could say that. I don't want to go on and on. I try to explain this and put it into words. But what I did want to do, which was on my heart, and I was explaining where the inspiration was coming from, these many gurus and sages and teachings. There are some people that I read, books whose authors, books by authors that I read, and I'm kind of fond of these authors because of what they're sharing and the willingness within to look beyond the norm, you know, to know that there's something more than what you're being programmed and conditioned to see life as, you know, a mass group of beings on a planet with pre-programmed outlooks on life, you know, being fed to you, whereas you were created to find out for yourself. And that's what's most important, to look for yourself and find out for yourself. And so that's what inspired me. I guess from now on, from time to time, when I get time, when I have a little bit of downtime from driving, I can go and get a couple of books and maybe read a few passages or read a few paragraphs or so from each book. And I'm going to share, as I always share, but I'm going to share from these books, from these authors as well, who I read and inspire me as well. So, you know, I'm not talking a bunch of gibberish. I'm not someone who's lost their mind. I found the source of my mind. I have found that I am not simply my mind. Because if I believed on my mind and I happen to lose it, then I lose myself. But if I know that I'm the one that can observe my mind and it being found or lost, then I can't be the mind or the finding or the losing. I'm the observer. You see? So I'm just going to share this with you, and maybe it will help. And I'm going to share this with many others, you know, who all tunes in, whoever wants to tune in. And if this benefits you and it's of value to you, then just like the video, share it if you want. I don't ask for any money. I'm just here to share what is freely shared already. You know, I'm just here to share and help the awareness, not just in myself, but by doing this, it helps me, you know. So if you wish, you can, but you don't have to. I'm not asking. So what I want to say is thank you just for tuning in. Thank you for having the wherewithal and the strength within to break the norm of what you were conditioned to believe and begin to look for yourself, for whatever it is that you're looking for. Thank you for having the wherewithal to look for yourself. Okay? That's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for you being as you are, what you are. And if you grow, that's great. And if you never perceive yourself growing, know that you are the source of growth. So you already are what you're looking to achieve. You already are that. Making it happen in the physical is just another phase of the process. But if you don't make it happen, know that you are it already anyway. Now that doesn't mean you have to give up on whatever you're seeking to complete, whatever task you're seeking to complete. Go forth with it. See it through, if you wish. But know that success or failure is not you. It's something you're observing, something you're choosing to experience, and you observe that. So if you succeed, that's great. If you fail, don't lose it. Don't lose yourself just because you fail. Because failure is a concept. You're still around to notice the failure or the non-failure. So that doesn't mean you cease to exist because you fail. You get it? Failure is observed, and it is chosen to be experienced. You get it? Okay. And so is success. It's observed and it's chosen to be experienced. So what does that say about you? You are the power. You are the source of the choice. You are the one who is able to choose which experience you wish to experience. Don't forget that, because it will come in handy. More than you are realizing right now, it will come in handy. Okay, anyway, what I'm going to do, one of my favorite authors, favorite people, this is what I mention a lot. This is the one I mention a lot, Mooji, M-O-O-J-I. Look this one up. There's a great book, Vaster Than Sky, Greater Than Space. Vaster than sky, greater than space. What you are before you became. Just that phrase alone, if you really look within with that, not with your mind, but with your heart, if you resonate and feel that, what you are before you became. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a passage out of each one of these books. The first one is Mooji, Vaster Than Sky, Greater Than Space. The second one is, I don't know if many of you know about this book, but this has been around for a while. Not this particular rendition. This particular rendition is written by a good author, someone I'm very I'm pretty fond of this individual as well. You know, I like what he has to share. I don't agree with everything he says, but you know, there's some passing of learning and teaching, so to speak, between the interaction. Billy Carson. I like the way you put this book together, and I like the I like how he put together this book, including the information of a lot of the knowledge from, or wisdom or knowledge that was passed down from ancient civilizations, ancient presences, our former presences that left behind a lot of this wisdom and knowledge. And whether you want to call it the Halls of Amenti, whether you want to call it the Enuma Elish, whether you want to call it the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, or the Emerald Tablets, this knowledge, this wisdom, always is And it is recognized and tapped into when when there is a looking beyond the veil, so to speak. And what that means is looking beyond what is placed in front of you and programmed to you to be the norm. Okay? When you have the wherewithal, as I said before, the impulse and intent to look for yourself to find things and not rely on third parties, second parties, first parties even, but yourself. I didn't just read these books from these authors. A lot of this knowledge I sought out myself in other forms, from other cultures. And even before that, it was always within us. But times of being in certain bodies and growing in these bodies, you're not really currently aware of how to express yourself in different languages that you happen to be raised in until you get of age to be able to do so. And those who are walking in these bodies before you, they have learned that. So they're able to express it. And they inspire you. They help you. These are inspirations. This is no disrespect meant to anyone. There is no room for the concept of competition. What are you competing against? Yourself in another body? Does that make any sense? You're only competing against the same consciousness that operates you. Or you think you're competing against it. But you've trapped yourself into a play of sorts that you're undergoing, administering and undergoing yourself. And no one else is really playing this play with you. It's just you playing this play. I'm competing with this person. That person's not competing with you. They're not paying you any attention. The competition is happening in your mind, but it's not happening in theirs. You see? Once you look within and you become aware of these things, this world can't trouble you. These are all activities that happen within the mind, and then they're carried out in the physical. But you have to know you're not the mind and you're not the physical. You're the watcher and observer of these things. You don't have to play. They call it a game. The game is not designed to be won. The game is an illusion. And you don't have to play it. You can watch it. But it doesn't bother you, it doesn't trouble you. Because after the game is over, you still are who you are, where you are, how you are, what you are. And the game hasn't changed a thing about you. Not as the observer. Maybe as a character that you think you are in the game. You can perceive those things change. But the observer of the game and the character in it, and all of the things that change, that is the same. Always. The consciousness that you and I are always is the same. It doesn't change. It observes change or no change. Anyway, I'm going to get to these books, right? So, what I want to do, I want to read a couple of passages from Mooji's book first, okay? So, what I'm going to read, this inner passages, this introduction, so to speak, to the book. Okay, so many of you who may be thinking about getting this book or are interested in it, you'll have a better idea of what the book is, talking about in covers. Okay, so here it is, the book by Mooji, Vaster Than Sky, Greater Than Space. What you are before you became. I'm going to start reading some. Okay, but this is the introduction now. So this is an introduction to give you an idea of what the book is about. In ever-growing gatherings worldwide, the revered teacher Mooji has opened the eyes of thousands through his rare ability to shine light on the ineffable, that's INEFFABLE, ineffable, with uncommon clarity, humor, and warmth. Now, in the book Vaster Than Sky, Greater Than Space, Mooji invites and inspires readers everywhere to discover the true essence from which we all arise. Okay? Now, throughout the book, he addresses various questions that come up for seekers, such as, how do I find peace, joy, love, and happiness? It's one of the questions that some seekers have. Here are some others. Is it really possible for an ordinary person with a job and family to attain enlightenment? Another question. Another question is, are intimate relationships a help or a hindrance to awakening? Okay, we go on. No more questions. I don't believe in one question is one had posed is I don't believe in God, but the word truth resonates with me. Are your teachings relevant to me? And Mooji often refers to it not being teachings but pointings, and I resonate with that because these are really pointings. They're not so much teachings. There's something that you and I are already are. He's just pointing it out to you. You see what I'm saying? So let's get back to some of the questions. There's a few more left. I think 3 more here. So the next one is, you use the phrase timeless presence. What does it mean? How can anything be timeless? Okay. And another question, how does one transcend personal conditioning and suppressed emotions and so come to lasting freedom? That is another question. And the last question mentioned here, if we are essentially free, why does it seem so difficult and distant, so remote or rare to realize the truth? Okay? Now, it goes on to say, through our own earnest search for truth, Mooji helps us arrive at the answers, not by offering concepts, but by leading us back to our hidden yet inherent knowing. Okay, so I really like this book, but I like the seeking more than the book. Again, as I said in some of my videos before, pay attention to the words, pay attention to what the words are referring to. Pay attention to the experience that the words are referring to. All words. And that is how you come about true understanding. Because experiencing is understanding. Knowing could be understanding or overstanding. You know, learning and all of these things, they happen. But when you experience what you have known or learned or become aware of, that is the understanding state, so to speak. So, there are additional books I think it would be important to mention. I'm going to put it on the screen. Maybe you can screenshot so you can look up some of these additional books that are written by the author Mooji. Baba Mooji. I say that out of honor and respect. Thank you, Baba. But one of the books I'm going to call out is called The Mala of God. Another one is called White Fire. And then there's another book called Before I Am. I like that book. I think I have, I'm not sure if it was a digital audio copy. And then there's another book called Writing on Water. And the last one listed Breath of the Absolute. That sounds interesting. I want to get that book if I can find it. I'm going to go to the website. If you look up Mooji online, I'm pretty sure the website will be listed. You can go to that. And I'm sure those books will be available on that website at some point. This is where I got this book from, the website. Okay? This book is dedicated to seekers of truth everywhere for the benefit of all beings. That is what he puts. That is what is intended here. So keep it in mind, as I say before, the intention behind the words in the interaction. The intention. This is the intention. There is no competition intended here. There's no ego. Okay? This is not for competition purposes. This is for everyone. Okay. So, the greatness of being is the preface. I'm going to go to here. I think it would be good to go through the introduction. So I don't want to take up too much time. It's 26 minutes. So I'm going to get right to reading the introduction. Vaster than sky, greater than space, arose from the inspiration to share Mooji's wisdom with those who are searching for lasting happiness, peace, and love, for truth, or what is often called self-realization. But who may not be so familiar with self-inquiry, or the non-dual approach of Advaita. Advaita is spelled Advaita, Advaita, or Advaita. This way of looking into the truth of our existence is simple, direct, and powerful. However, it can appear complex and intimidating at first, because self-inquiry challenges our core beliefs and concepts regarding who we think we are and how we perceive the world we live in. Okay? Now, when it says self-inquiry, that resonates with me because even in ancient Kemet, our ancestors wrote a term that was taken and changed by Shakespeareanism, so to speak, or Shakespearean way of expression, and it was said to recite as know thyself, but it's actually know the self, and that is what this is referring to, and it's also referring to this that is being shared now. So I go back to this. Mooji often shares the story of when he first came across self-inquiry as taught by the Indian sage Sri Rama Maharishi. Sri Rama Maharshi, from 1879 to 1950. He was with us in physical presence. Who is credited with the revival of the ancient spiritual wisdom. He's credited with that. So, after a powerful experience with a Christian mystic in 1987, this is Mooji speaking, I believe. I'm not sure if this is, yeah, I believe it's referring to Mooji saying this now. After a powerful experience with a Christian mystic in 1987, my life underwent many changes inwardly and outwardly, which culminated with my giving up teaching art at the local college. Yes, so this is Mooji speaking because he did teach art at a college. One day, I was drawn to enter a spiritual bookshop in central London. I was not accustomed to reading books, but I was instantly attracted to a picture of Sri Ramana Maharishi, or Maharshi. Excuse me if I mispronounce it, okay? On the cover of one book, Sri Rama Maharishi was on this cover. His face radiated a warm and light that immediately, let me read that again. His face radiated a warmth and light that immediately touched my heart. However, let me go to the next page. However, when I opened the book, my reaction was, whoa, what is this? His words felt very intellectual and noisy to me. So much so that I actually thought the printer must have made a mistake and put the wrong cover on the book. The picture emanated such profound serenity, silence, and peace, but the concise instructions of self-inquiry within couldn't enter my being back then. So I closed Sri Ramana's book and put it aside. Instead, I found another book in the same shop entitled The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Again, I say, he wrote, so I closed Sri Ramana's book and put it aside. Instead, I found another book in the same shop entitled The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, which spoke to me immediately. Although I grew up in a Christian tradition, the wisdom of the Hindu saint Sri Ramakrishna was so universal that it touched and conquered my heart. His every word resonated deeply inside my being and was perfectly timed, as I had been waiting to find a voice that would confirm. Again, a voice that would confirm the profound experiences I had been having at the time. Confirmation to what you already are. What I learned later was that Sri Ramakrishna was not only a great devotee, a bhakti saint. Bhakti is spelled B-H-A-K-T-I, in case you want to look it up, but also a completely liberated sage from the perspective and experience of the non-dual jnana path. Jnana is spelled J-N-A-N-A. I hope I pronounced it right. It just feels like I pronounced it right, but I could be wrong. So, again, jnana, J-N-A-N-A, which is the non-dual path. The path of pure self-knowledge also is considered. In 1993, the urge and possibility arose for me to go to India. I thought the sole aim and purpose of my being in India was to visit Dakshineswar. Dakshineswar. That's D-A-K-S-H-I-N-E-S-W-A-R. Dakshineswar. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Forgive me if I'm not. The place near Kolkata, or Kolkata, K-O-L-K-A-T-A, where Sri Ramakrishna had lived and taught. I didn't know anything else. I had no Lonely Planet guide or anything of the sort. And I was quite spiritually naive back then. I knew nothing of gurus, spiritual paths, or meditation, and certainly nothing of Advaita. Again, that term Advaita, A-D-V-A-I-T-A. I only knew the divine love of Christ and Sri Ramakrishna. Again, this here mentions the Christ again. Now, I would like to elaborate on it, but I'm not going to yet. I'm going to read this book, but I think in my other videos, I kind of elaborated on Christ or Christ, and Krishna, Christos. You know, that it's not a last name. It is a attempt to describe the presence. But again, I said I wouldn't go into that, so let's keep reading. Well, again, Mooji goes on to say, well, to this day, I still haven't made it to Kolkata. Instead, destiny's path brought me to meet my master, Sri H.W.L. Punja, otherwise known as Papaji, lovingly known as Papaji. That's Sri H.W.L. Punja. That's spelled P-O-O-N-J-A, Punja, lovingly known as Papaji. And only through the grace and presence of Papaji, who is a direct disciple of Sri Ramana Maharshi, was I somehow able to read and understand Sri Ramana's teachings inside my heart. So it was H.W. Punja that made the connection when he tried to read about it as trying to seek for himself. He was divinely guided to someone who could help him connect the dots, you see. And this is the same way that Mooji, I say, have helped me to connect the dots and confirm things that is within, but I'm not quite versed in the articulation of other languages and other expressions, so to speak. And so by people like Mooji and Sri Ramana Maharshi and H.W. L. Punja, Papaji, and many other sages that I've mentioned before, these come and they help. There are ministers and there are saints and there are, many names, prophets. They all help connect the dots. But you, on your journey is your path. And your straight and narrow may look different than mine, but the destinations are all the same. Okay? Keep that in mind. So I'm going to continue to read. Okay. And only through the grace and presence of Papaji, who is a direct disciple of Sri Ramana Maharshi, was I somehow able to read and understand Sri Ramana's teachings inside my heart. What I came quickly to see and understand was that self-inquiry, which is know thyself, or the self, is the most direct approach to truth. And it had to be direct, because I have a very short attention span, and so I'm here sometimes, and am only attracted to what is straightforward, immediate, and simple. Fair to say. It goes on to say, in the in the years that followed, people began to gather around Mooji. Some would simply approach and ask if they could sit with him for a while because they felt so peaceful in his presence. Others began to ask him questions related to their own search for truth. The capacity to guide them arose spontaneously, and what began as small informal gatherings quickly grew into meetings or satsangs, that's what they're called, with hundreds of beings. In early 2012, Mooji was sharing satsang with Tiruvannamalai. I'm going to say this slow. Tiruvannamalai. 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 So, I'll read it again. In early 2012, Mooji was sharing satsang with Tiruvannamalai in southern India. I hope I said that right. With around 500 people. Among them was Abe Gutman, an American from Colorado, who was immediately inspired by Mooji's capacity to guide beings into the discovery of their true nature with such unsparing clarity, wisdom, and humor. Over the next 4 years, Abe shepherded vaster than sky, greater than space into life by selecting, transcribing, and editing the most potent transcripts of satsangs he attended both in person and online. So, Abe Gutman is one responsible for this book, Vaster Than Sky, Greater Than Space. So thank you, Abe. Thank you. So, okay, it goes on to say, editing the most potent transcripts of satsangs he attended both in person and online. During satsang, Abe frequently asks questions regarding relationships, psychology, and our place in the world, because he felt that the answers to such questions would be well received by those new to satsang. This book came into being through Abe's dedication and persistence, which saw him restructuring the manuscript in response to feedback from Mooji and the Mooji Media Publications team. Okay, so thank you, Abe. You collaborated with them, and this was a joint collaboration. So thank all of you, because it is beneficial to people like me and others who are seeking. Thank you. big gratitude. And I mean that for real. In the summer of 2015, Mooji suggested that it was time for Vaster Than Sky, Greater Than Space to be finalized and released. With great synchronicity, as is ever present with a master, within days Abe received word that Sounds True was interested in publishing the book. So Sounds True must be the name of a publisher, a publishing company. The manuscript then underwent further revisions and refining by the Sounds True and Mooji Media teams in consultation with Abe. This was a truly international coming together with lengthy Skype editing sessions in early 2016, spanning Rishikesh, India, Monte Sahaja, Portugal, and New York City, USA. This process unfolded with grace and harmony. Very important. Harmony. Grace and harmony, very important. But I emphasize the harmonious balance between this production. Okay? So, this process unfolded with grace and harmony during the 5 weeks of satsang with Mooji in Rishikesh, where more than 2,000 people attended. A beautiful reflection of Mooji's spirit and grace. The book you are holding is the outcome of this collaboration. May it prove to be an invaluable guide to self-realization through the unsparing light and wisdom of self-inquiry. So, that is the introduction. It goes on to say, this is not a book to be read with the mind. It is very important. It was put in bold print. This is not a book to be read with your mind. Okay? And we're going to elaborate on that a little bit later. Or as we read through this book, I'm pretty sure even now with this next paragraph, it may elaborate on what that means. So let's read it. The teachings and insights of Mooji are sublimely simple, and the place they lead us is beyond words. You don't need to learn any special techniques or practices, for self-inquiry is like looking into a mirror and recognizing your timeless face. I say it again. You don't need to learn any special techniques or practices, for self-inquiry is like looking into a mirror and recognizing your timeless face. Okay? However, it goes on to say, however, as Mooji's own story shows, this introspection may at first be challenging because it requires us to swiftly acclimatize to the language, potency, and immediacy of the pointings to the true self. Now, I'm going to attempt to explain acclimatize because it seems like a word that may be, some of you may understand what that means, and some of you may be a little thrown off by acclimatize. But acclimatize, if you think about climate, when you acclimatize to something, you adjust to the climate, so to speak. That's my best attempt to explain acclimatize. The act of acclimatizing is adjusting to the climate of this teaching and this revealing of knowledge and wisdom and information and awareness. Okay? When you acclimatizing to it, you're adjusting to it. So that's what that is referring to. I hope I'm right. Okay, so again, because it requires us to swiftly acclimatize to the language, potency, and immediacy of the pointings to the true self. So it can be challenging because, it's a swift acclimatization, meaning it's a swift, direct approach. Your awakening becomes a very swift and direct approach in realization. So your mind can struggle to adjust. That's why you say you can't read it with your mind, because you'll get lost. Because your mind is very logical and is trying to, put this stuff here. But these questions are beyond logic, so to speak. And once you are looking from the very place these questions are being asked, and the very place the answer is coming from, then the logic of it becomes very clear. But first, it seems challenging because you're not used to looking this way. That's what it's referring to. You're not used to perceiving from this location. That doesn't mean this location didn't exist. It's always existed. But you're not used to perceiving from it because you were not taught this from the very beginning. You were not made aware of your true location from the very beginning. Again, I'm not going to go into depth on it. We're going to read a little bit more of the book, and then we're going to stop, and I'll go into a little bit of the other book. Okay? So, it goes on to say in the next paragraph, Mooji uses language fluidly, I attest to that, and metaphorically as clues to guide you into an inner, direct, and intuitive experience of the truth you already are. Again, I say it again, Mooji uses language fluidly and metaphorically as clues to guide you into an inner, direct, and intuitive experience of the truth you already are, yet are presently unaware of. So it's guiding you to the truth you are, but you're not quite aware of it presently. Okay? Goes on to say, as you read, don't get stuck on the precise meaning of individual words. So don't get stuck in the cymatics of it. You mean the precise meaning of what you were taught the words are. Because a lot of the words are being used metaphorically to get you to look within for the answer. Okay, that's what it's referring to. So, as you read, don't get stuck on the precise meaning of individual words, sentences, or paragraphs. Instead, allow the energy of the words to enter your heart and being, without interference from the evaluating and interpreting mind, is what I just said. And you will find that at some point, understanding just occurs naturally. You are naturally intuitive to this because this is your natural nature. You see? It's like putting on a translator to your original language that you forgot you knew. And now you're beginning to understand. You see? Okay, so it goes on to say, the main pointings are deliberately repeated in different ways throughout the book to offer space for this understanding to grow and ripen. Okay? So whether it is this book's expression, or my expression, or Mooji's expression, or many other people's expression, Sri Ramana Krishna, and H.W.L. Punja, Papaji, and Maharishika, and many of the other sages, Dev Guru, many of the gurus and sages and prophets, they all have the rendition. So this is what I was talking about when we say that all of the religions point to the same destination, because the intent that the words are pointing to is all the same destination, and that is this presence that you and I are, and all things are. Okay? But again, I don't want to get off into something else, but I'm going to keep on reading a little bit. So, the essential pointing to our true nature is simple and possible for everyone, including children, to grasp. Including children, yes. However, it can take some time to empty and free our minds from the concepts we cherish about who we consider ourselves to be. I'm going to read that again. However, it can take some time to empty and free our minds from the concepts we cherish about who we consider ourselves to be. That means your pre-programming and preconditioning that you attained from birth all the way up till now. You see? All right. Although Mooji addresses many topics in this book, he actually only ever speaks about the discovery of our true nature. All roads point to the same destination. He often stresses that when seeking truth, it is not important to know too many things. Therefore, the emphasis is placed not so much on teaching or learning. I say that again. Truth is not important. Okay. He often stresses that when seeking truth, it is not important to know too many things. Therefore, and what that means is, this vast amount of knowledge is not really that important. What's important is the source of the knowledge, or what the knowledge is pointing to. You see? Okay, so it's not important to know too many things. Therefore, the emphasis is placed not so much on teaching or learning, but on discovery and direct experiencing. So that is what it's pointing to. You see, all knowledge and words and forms and names are all trying to describe the experience. You see? And this is where it says it as well. Okay? Therefore, the emphasis is placed on not so much on teaching or learning, but on discovery and direct experiencing. Okay? If you encounter something that is not immediately clear, or something that doesn't seem to make sense, don't be troubled about it. Let it be for now and remain open. Remain with an open mind and an open heart. Okay? More important, when you do find something that resonates deeply, take some time to just to be with that fully. Meaning, take some time to just sit with that fully. So, allow it to do its work internally. Mooji's encouragement to everyone is that one of pointing, deeply understood and assimilated inside the heart, is enough to take you home. I'm going to read that again, but hold on. Give me 1 second. How you doing, brother?
Trying to work, man.
I hear you.
I tell you what, you got 6 reps on 6 for 25.
Yeah, I can't right now, brother. And I just got a truck wash, but maybe in about a week or so, if I come back, I can hit you up. But
that's why I need shiny wheels.
Yeah, I don't have it right now though. I wish I did. I put it.
I know you would.
All right, I appreciate it. All right, brother. All right, tough. Okay, so let's get back to this. God help him find what he's looking for. And let's get back to this, okay? So, what I was just reading, let it be for now and remain open. More importantly, I'm going to read that last passage again because I was, my attention was diverted to this, young gentleman here. More important, when you do find something that resonates deeply, take some time just to be with that fully. Allow it to do its work internally. Mooji's encouragement to everyone is that one pointing, deeply understood and assimilated inside that heart. So I'm going to read it again because this is a long paragraph. More importantly, when you find something that resonates deeply, take some time just to be with that fully. Allow it to do its work internally. Mooji's encouragement to everyone is that one pointing, deeply understood and assimilated inside the heart, is enough to take you home. Again, I say that Mooji's encouragement to everyone is that one pointing, which is deeply understood and assimilated inside the heart, is enough to take you home. That one pointing that you get deeply and resonates within your heart, it is enough to take you home. Okay? It is enough. So, it goes on to say, vaster than sky, greater than space, is rich in Mooji's wisdom and insights, and is replete with openness, love, and sense of humor that Mooji exudes. I guess the term replete is referring to full of or saturated with. It also contains many of Mooji's favorite teaching stories and clear self-inquiry guidance. It is structured in such a way as to guide those new to Mooji and his teachings into the direct recognition and experience of truth. For those already familiar with these pointings, it offers the great opportunity to deepen into final understanding, or as we refer to, and myself refer to, inner standing. Part 1, Stepping into Oneness, introduces Mooji's core teachings and insights. Chapter 1 in particular conveys the essence of self-inquiry. As such, it is a chapter to be revisited again and again until one thoroughly understands or understands self-inquiry and is able to use its power or awareness to attain final liberation. Final liberation. Tongue tied me. Not me, but tongue is seemingly tied. Part 2. Life in its dynamic expression is based on questions concerning our place in the world, relationships, family, work, difficulties in life, and so forth. While such matters are not usually the focus for Mooji, he addresses these topics because they arise for many, in particular for those who are new to this profoundly simple way of looking into our timeless nature. As he steadfastly points us back to our source being, which is often referred to as God, or God consciousness, or the Christ, or the Christ. Mooji demonstrates that truth is highly practical and not separate from life. In fact, truth enriches every aspect of the manifestation and the experiencing thereof. Again, I say it, I'll read it again. In fact, truth enriches every aspect of the manifestation and the experiencing thereof. Okay? It goes on to say, vaster than sky, greater than space, was compiled from living dialogues. Again, living dialogues that are arranged by subject to make it easier for new readers to follow. However, this book should not be taken as a comprehensive view of Mooji's responses on any of these subjects. As a living master, Mooji responds spontaneously to the call of the moment, which is the way it should be. And as is the case with true masters, his approach may at times seem to be inconsistent and even contradictory. Remember here that he answers not only the question but also the questioner, as guided by his intuition. So remember, what it's saying is, what is in this book is expression, but Mooji's personal interactions. Don't take what he says in this book and try to say, well, in the book you said this, but then now you're saying this. Because in each encounter, personally, he's addressing the individual that he's talking to. But just because he's addressing that individual that he's talking to doesn't mean that you can't gather something from what he's saying between him and that individual. You can learn something from his interaction between him and that individual, because it's not just for that individual, it is also for all, for you. But he may be addressing the individual in whatever dilemma they're caught up in and answering for that specific situation, but the answer is universal. You get what I'm saying? The answer may help that individual in their particular situation if they get it, but the answer is also universal and it can be applied to everyone if everyone listening can get it. You see what I'm saying? So that is truthfully, a true master is capable of, or naturally, not even say capable, but that naturally occurs with true masters. You know, it can be, it's the place that true masters are speaking from is the universal place. So the answer is universal. It can be applied, just like those who were inspired to write the Bible and other teachings and other spiritual guidances, etched in stone or on paper or papyrus or whatever have you. They were inspired by that place that is universal, or the source of universal. They were inspired by this. So the answers that were written and etched in stone are universally applied. They can be universally applied in many ways because they came from the universal place, the source of origin of source. So I hope I didn't confuse you with explaining that, but basically what he's saying is, don't take what he's saying in the book as the way it's being said is always has to be that way, because his answers will be different based on who he's encountering and talking to. But the answer itself, what the answer is pointing to, is universal. Again, I say, what the answers are pointing to is universal. So that is how you can get it. Pay attention to what the answers are pointing to, just like we pay attention to what the words are pointing to, what they're trying to describe, which is the experience, as said here, you know. Okay, so let me go back to this paragraph. Again, I'm going to read it again. As a living master, Mooji responds spontaneously to the call of the moment. Okay? That means the call of the moment. The particular situation, condition, or person that is explaining or needs help with a particular condition. And as is the case with true masters, his approach may at times seem to be inconsistent and even contradictory. Remember here that he answers not only the question, but also the questioner as guided by his intuition. Okay? And I'm going to pause because I have a phone call real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I guess I'm going to have to edit this as 2 separate videos because when I hit pause, it ended the video anyway. So, okay, last paragraph of the book from Mooji. Oh, hold on a second. Here we go again. Give me a second. Okay. I'm back again. All right. So, I had a phone call that came in, so I had to answer. But let's get back to reading where we left off. I'm still on the introduction of the book by Mooji, Vaster Than Sky, Greater Than Space. You know, what you are before you became. So, we left off in the last few paragraphs of the introduction. So I'm going to continue there where we left off. Okay. The book is not overly, it goes on to say, the book is not overly structured in a way that would appeal to the logical, conditioned mind. I say it again. The book is not overly structured in a way that would appeal to the logical, conditioned mind. That means the mind that was conditioned to have the type of logic that you acquired from birth all the way up till now, you know, all your accolades, all the things that your belief systems, everything you think you know, it may struggle with this type of looking because you were not taught, like I said earlier in the beginning of the videos, you were not taught to look this way from this perspective. So it can seem a little displacing for a minute, but stay with it. With an open heart and open mind, stay with it, and it'll begin to dissipate confusion will begin to dissipate. The clouds will clear. Okay? Okay. Mooji knows and communicates with the deeper intelligence innate in every human being. Again, Mooji knows and communicates with the deeper intelligence innate in every human being. And so, he credits each and every one with the capacity to awaken through recognition. This recognition. Okay? He knows the value of learning, growing, and expanding when challenged to discover the all-encompassing being we are. Again, I say this again. He, referring to Mooji, or the name Mooji, but the I, that M, that is before the name, knows the value of learning, growing, and expanding when challenged to discover the all-encompassing being we all are. Okay, last paragraph. It goes on to say, very often in our culture, you are treated as though you have little spiritual capacity, as though you have no inherent power, and that people in the know have to always liquidize your food in order for you to grow. Meaning, you are treated as though you can't conceive these things, and then everybody has to feed it to you in baby spoon fed. Baby spoon feed you this stuff. But you can grasp this right here, right now, is what Mooji's saying. And many other sages, that inspired him and many of us. I'll say you can grasp this right now if you look within. If you look from this place that is already what you are. We say within, but it's beyond that. So, I don't want to get, okay, I keep having the impulse to go into it, but we'll come back to that, okay? So, let me go on to read the rest of this. But, it is important that hold on, I got another call coming in. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get to that in a second. Let me read this last bit of this paragraph and I'll go back to that call. Okay, but it is important that the true seeker understands that they must be open enough to be deeply challenged to awaken the living inspiration necessary for true freedom. Again, I say this again. But it is important that the true seeker understands that they must be open enough to be deeply challenged to awaken the living inspiration, or the living aspiration. I said inspiration before. The living aspiration, aspiring, necessary for true freedom. So what that means is you must be open enough for that living want or desire or aspiration that is necessary for you to become aware of this true freedom. Like you have to be willing to look for yourself. You have to be willing to experience this for yourself. Okay? And if many of you are listening up until now, then you have shown that you're willing, you're interested. So you're willing to look within yourself. This is not some trying to recruit someone or bring them into a particular religion or whatever thing. But again, we said this is the origin of all types of religion. This is the origin of the very concept of religion itself. Okay, so I'm going to go on and read the rest of this. I don't want to get too deep. I got to keep stopping myself from getting too deep in it, trying to explain things. Let me go on and just let the book speak for itself, right? So, where did I leave off? To be free, you are going to have to break out of the mold of personal conditioning, out of your cocoon. Again, I say this again. To be free, you are going to have to break out of the mold of personal conditioning, out of your cocoon. Okay? That is what I was saying before. Everything you acquired up until now, that doesn't mean it's all bad. But there's something deeper that's more important. What it's all pointing to is more important. And this is the direct way. The direct way. We're not trying to say abandon all of that and just pay attention to this. But once you learn this, everything else that you thought you were going the right way, you begin to look from your place of looking. And you begin to see the vast picture, not just a portion. See, you don't even know you're only looking at a portion until you become aware of the vastness. You may be looking at everything now and thinking that this is all there is until you're able to look from a perspective that is more vast, and you see, oh wow, this is only a pixel in the giant picture. Okay? So, here we go. Continuing. As you come out of your cocoon, right? Each sincere seeker must be willing to undergo the necessary transformation from caterpillar consciousness, like it's a version like referring to like in a metaphorical way. The caterpillar consciousness is what it just described, that which was only aware of a portion, and now it transforms to the awareness of the vastness. From caterpillar consciousness to the butterfly of freedom. So now you have transformed from caterpillar consciousness to the butterfly of freedom. Source of origin of source. The God consciousness, the isness, the all-pervading awareness. However word and term you use for it, whatever words you have for it. God, Allah, Krishna, the Christ or the Christ, Shiva, Kumvelinyan, all of the names, it does not matter. What matters is what the words and names and forms are pointing to. That experiencing. You see? But okay, that's the introduction. And I think we've gone through a lot on the introduction, so I've got a lot going on. And I may read this Greatness of Being. Maybe I would read this Greatness of Being to you, and that'll be it. And then I'll go into a little bit of the Emerald Tablets, and then we'll get back. Okay? All right. Back again. We're going to continue. We're still on the book Muji, Faster Than Sky, Greater Than Space. And we've just went through the introduction. Again, I had to cut the feed because I had to attend to something and someone for a few minutes. And so I'm back. And so now we're going to read the first part of the book, The Greatness of Being. I don't know if you can see that. So we're going to read that. And that'll be it. I guess we'll continue on this book a little bit later. But I'll read a little bit from the other book, the Emerald Tablets, and then that's it. All right? Okay, so here we go. The Greatness of Being. It goes on to say, I would like to remind you of the greatness of being. That all we ever need is to be found in the self. All that we seek in this world that is truly lasting, true happiness, joy, peace, light, space, are inside of us. They are ever present. But for a while, we don't see them because we search for fulfillment in the field of the ephemeral, meaning the changeful. Only at the 11th hour do we turn to the self, meaning only at the last minute, so to speak. Do we turn to the self? Such procrastination is not wise, though it is common. For thousands of years, human beings have been exploring the nature of who we are and the purpose of our being here on this planet. Many found what they are searching for, but billions of forms who were once called people are no longer here. I said it again. Many found what they were searching for, but billions of forms who were once called people are no longer here, meaning no longer here in the physical. They are gone, and now it is our turn. We are the living wave. We are the living wave. We entered into manifestation to walk on this planet as contemporaries and to take our chance at finding that which is imperishable in us, meaning non-perishing. All of us have this opportunity to find true freedom. And no one is exempt. No one is disqualified, because the light of consciousness burns in everyone. Again, I read that. All of us have this opportunity to find true freedom, and no one is exempt. No one is disqualified, because the light of true consciousness burns in everyone, and even everything, and even no thing. But that wasn't mentioned. That's just my elaboration on that. But it stops at saying it burns in everyone, as the book refers to. This, the book that was written by Yamuji in collaboration with others. The world encourages us to look from the limited sense of personhood, a very unstable standpoint from which we are always trying to find balance on very shaky ground. Again, I'm going to read it again. The world encourages us to look from the limited sense of personhood, a very unstable standpoint from which we are always trying to find balance on very shaky ground. So the play of always trying to balance yourself on a shaky ground, so to speak, is where we tend to look from often. But it goes on to say, but you must learn to look from your source being. There's that reference source being, which is what we refer to, source of origin of source. Source being. But you must learn to look from your source being. Now, being is not an object. Keep in mind, being is not an object. Being is the experience. So, I read it again. But you must learn to look from your source being. Okay? Your being, it goes on to say, your being is vaster than sky, greater than space, and it is already here. Look from your stillness, not from your agitation. Again, I say it, I read it again. Look from your stillness, not from your agitation. You don't have to go even a fraction of an inch away from where you are right now to find the silence and stillness of your being. Again, I read, you don't have to go even a fraction of an inch away from where you are right now to find the silence and stillness of your being. And from here, you can observe the energetic streams that are pulling your attention to go out into the field of noise and personhood, where beings are suffering from person poison, from the toxicity of ego. I read that again. And from here, you can observe the energetic streams. From here means from your stillness of being. You can observe the energetic streams that are pulling your attention to go out into the field of noise and personhood, where beings are suffering from person poison, from the toxicity of ego. Okay? Now, next paragraph. You have picked up this book, and some power within you has brought you to find something deeper than you have found so far. And it is so simple. Begin by looking from the place of your stillness. It is already here. Don't combine yourself with any mode of time or any concept, and immediately you will find yourself in a realm of neutrality, spaciousness, and silence, meaning inner silence, inner neutrality, inner spaciousness. Even if the tree of the mind is shaking furiously, that movement is watched from the place of stillness. I read that again. Even if the tree of the mind is shaking furiously with thoughts, belief systems, and opinions, and worries, and concerns, and anxieties, and all of these things, that movement, that is all of that, is watched from this place of stillness that you truly are. Learn to cultivate this habit of paying more attention to the stable sense of being, rather than to agitate sense of becoming. I read that again because I may have misread it. Learn to cultivate this habit of paying more attention to the stable sense of being rather than to the agitated sense of becoming. Okay? So you pay more attention to the sense of being that you already are rather than the sense, an agitated sense of I must become this, I must become that. You stay in attention to the sense of the beingness that you already are, the still silence, the peace that surpasses all understanding. Okay? You stay as that. And you watch the agitated sense of becoming. You watch it, but you know you're not it. It still will go on, but you watch it. And you stay aware of the place you're watching from. So you don't get sucked into thinking you're what you're watching. You get it? Okay, but anyway, let's get back to this. Because the becomings are unending. So let me put all that together and read it again. Learn to cultivate this habit of paying more attention to the stable sense of being rather than to the agitated sense of becoming. Because the becomings are unending. That sense of I must become, you're going to always, if you get consumed by that, you're going to be in this consistent, never-ending, I must always become this, I must always become that. No matter what you achieve, you're going to always try to achieve more, and you'll be in this psychotic cycle, which is called samsara or Maya, delusional cycle, but that you're always trying to achieve. You gain the world, but you lose your sense of your soul, the sense of your true beingness, your naturalness, your pureness. You become unnatural in state, in form, because you're not grounded to your naturalness anymore. You're caught in this cycle, or you believe you're living out a sense of being caught in this cycle. unaware of your true sense and your true naturalness and your true stillness and peacefulness. Okay? So it goes on to say, get acquainted with the stability of being. Get used to the feeling of emptiness. It will not harm you. In fact, by so honoring your true self, you will come into a field of great joy, peace, love, trustworthiness, and aliveness. This is true self-respect. You will lose nothing from the world of activity. It will go better because you will no longer be wasting energy, and misconceptions will fall away. It is win-win all the way. I wonder why it takes us so long. Are the fruits of the world so sweet that they could compete with the beauty of your own true self? I'm adding true to it. Okay, it just says your own self. So I'm just going off of my, don't think it says true self. I'm going off of my expression, so to speak, as I'm reading. Because my sense of looking and clarities from that true self, I recognize it as true self. Because we were grown and raised to believe that the self we thought we are, and when we find out this true self, we recognize there's a difference because of our perceptions that we were programmed to perceive. So when you begin to look from this true point of origin, the true point of referencing, you recognize that your perceptions were slightly off because you weren't aware of this place anymore. And now that you are, once again, you begin to see clearly, a lot more clearly. Okay? So that's why I say true self. Okay. This is a mighty existence, and it is beyond our human capacities to comprehend its full potential. But in the simple steps that are being pointed to here, of reverting the attention back to the place of stillness and silence within, we may realize that potential. Okay? I read again. This is a mighty existence, and it is beyond our human capacities to comprehend its full potential. But in the simple steps that are being pointed here, of reverting the attention back to the place of stillness and silence within, we may realize that potential. Okay? Last paragraph in this introduction. It is time to leave behind childish attitudes and begin to pay a little more attention to what is really here. This is a time body, a mortal body, but an immortal presence is moving within it. While the body is still warm, use this bodily life to rediscover your timeless being. Muji. I'm going to read this last paragraph one more time because I had a call and I don't know if it was interfering or not. I'm going to answer the call after this, but for now, let me read this because it's important. This last paragraph says, it is time to leave behind childish attitudes and begin to pay a little more attention to what is really here. This is a time body, a mortal body, but an immortal presence is moving within it. While the body is still warm, use this bodily life to rediscover your timeless being. Again, it is time to leave behind childish attitudes and begin to pay a little more attention to what is really here. This is a time body, a mortal body, but an immortal presence is moving within it. While the body is still warm, Use this bodily life to rediscover your timeless being. Mooji. Okay, so that's it. That's all I'm doing now. Next we'll read is chapter 1, okay? Or part 1. Stepping into oneness. Okay? I greatly encourage you to get this book and read it yourself. Okay? Read it with an open mind and heart. Wish above all things you prosper as your soul prospers. I love you. Okay? You be well. We'll talk again soon, and we'll go over some of this book soon, okay? In many other ways we'll talk too. I love you. Eternal. Greetings. Here I did say I would read 2 books, or read a little bit from 2 books. So we're going to go over another book from an author that I was talking about earlier. And that author is Billy Carson. And it's a collaboration with other authors and some divine authors from some ancient teachings, ancient writings. These are like translations and renditions or expressions from those who have studied to find a certain level of understanding of some of these teachings, or I would say pointings or directions or guidances, however you want to word it. But this is ancient wisdom and knowledge being recorded and translated in certain ways. Now, again, you don't have to take literal the person that is reciting it, or take literal even the author and how they write it, but it is important to pay more attention to what the words are pointing to. Okay? Not to get caught up in the concepts and all of these things, but pay more attention to what is being pointed to. It's most important. You know, the journey can be great and beautiful, but don't get so, like Mooji often says, don't get so caught up in the journey that you forget the destination. So pay more attention to what the words in names and forms are referring to. Okay? And no matter what book you read, what teaching you are exposed to, or what path you decide to follow, you know the destination you're trying to get to is the same destination. Okay? So, with that being said, I'm going to start reading into these books. I say my greetings as I normally do. If I forget any greetings, please excuse me. But Om, Namaste, also to some Namaskar, Asante Sana, Jambu, Hi, with some Konnichiwa. I learned some new ones. You name it. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Many greetings. If I forgot any, please excuse me. But for the sake of trying to save time, because I'm going to be reading a little bit, I don't want to make this video too long, because a lot of my videos are long. Because, you know, we talk a lot, we share a lot. Or I talk a lot and share a lot. But I would like to listen to others too, however you want to interact with me. But we'll get to that point. But let's get into this book, okay? The Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, a beginner's guide, it says. So this is authored by Billy Carson, or the compendiumness, or the culmination of it is authored by Billy Carson. Okay, but the original knowledge is always, even beyond the vessel with the name Billy Carson and this vessel with the name of Shin or any other vessel. This knowledge existed, this wisdom existed as presence, or is existing still currently as presence, or what we refer to as the God presence, the source of origin, origin source. And these are just some of the aspects, or some of the many expressions and avenues that the source shares, I would say. So let's get into this. Okay. The compendium of the Emerald Tablets, a beginner's guide by Billy Carson. Okay. So this beginner's guide, I'm going to probably look for the introduction and start there. Okay. by the way, I think you can get this book from Forbidden Knowledge. You can get it from Amazon. I think I ordered it from Amazon. But you know, there's a, I don't know if you can see that. There it is. Forbidden Knowledge right down here. You can get this book, you know. Excuse my long nails. My nails and my hair have been growing extremely rapid since I've been out in the sunlight for a long period, extended period of time. And I have to cut them. Just reminded me of this video. Anyway, I'm not cutting my hair. Just the nails. Anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about here. All right. So let's give it a little bit on this author, okay? I know everybody has histories and everything, and we all have histories. And I've read some about the history, but I also know that the history doesn't say the totality of the individual or the presence therein, okay? So let's give this a chance, shall we? All right, so I'm going to read about the author, Billy Carson. If you're wondering what he looks like, you've probably seen him on online on different platforms, okay? And all throughout history and time, there's been different appearances of this person dabbling in different things like, you know, marketing and other things too. But here right now, let's look at this book. So it goes on to say, Billy Carson, the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.com, is a host on Deep Space. I guess that's a show. A new original streaming series by Gaia. Okay, so many of you have heard about that show called Gaia. He's on this, he's a host on this show called Deep Space, which is on this channel Gaia, this platform Gaia. This series explores the secret space program, revealing extraordinary technologies and their potential origins. Billy Carson also serves as an expert host on Gaia's original series, Ancient Civilizations, in which a team of renowned scholars deciphers the riddles of our origins and pieces together our forgotten history documented in monuments and texts, or in text, rather, around the world. Not text like the state Texas, but text, T-E-X-T-S, around the world. As co-founder of the United Family of Anomaly Hunters, UFA, that's U-F-A-H, Billy Carson works with some of the top anomaly hunters in the world. Their mission is to provide evidence of past and present life on Earth, as well as on other celestial bodies inside our solar system. You're going to find quite a bit if you are, well, we'll talk about that later. It's another time. They also work to educate others about ancient technologies and science, archaeoastronomy, and astroanthropology. Billy believes that these will be offered. Billy believes that these will be offered as a college course in the not so distant future. I could see that, possibly. We'll see. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Let's not get off into something else. Mr. Carson appreciates the dedication and hard work it takes to accomplish great things. Recently, Mr. Carson earned the Certificate of Science with an emphasis on neuroscience at MIT. Among his most notable achievements, Billy is the CEO of First Class Space Agency based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Specifically, his space agency is involved in research and development of alternative propulsion systems and zero-point energy devices. Is that so? I may give you a call. But will you pick up? Anyway, I'm just joking. Let's get back to this. Documentaries and TV shows. In 2017, What If documentary, Docu-Uphobia, these are some of the documentaries. Ancient Civilizations, TV series, Beyond Belief with George Noory, that's N-O-O-R-Y, TV series, Life Beyond Our Existence, documentary, Buzzsaw with Sean Stone, TV series. Okay, and 2016, 15, 2012, 2019, there's numerous documentaries. You can look them up. Okay, it says look for more books from Billy Carson in 2020. Okay, so there's a dedication here, and I'll read his dedication out of honor and respect for himself and who he wants to dedicate it to. I dedicate this book to the memory of my mother, Ingrid Carson. She told me about the Nazca Lines and Machu Picchu in the 1970s. Sounds like my grandmother. She told me of the same type. My mother believed that they may be remnants of an ancient airport. Visiting these ancient ruins became one of the driving forces behind my research and travels. In 2018, I fulfilled my dreams of researching and visiting Peru, where I witnessed all of its wonders. I love you, Mom. Rest in power. Asheo. It is so and so it is. Yeah. I can resonate with you on that. And I'm not acting. I'm for real. Thank you for this, man. Thank you for the book. And thank you for the dedication, the heartfelt dedications. I feel you. I do. Works by Forbidden Knowledge. Here's some of the works, okay? If you want to recognize them, let's see. There we go. I'm going to read it. The Key of Wisdom, 432 Hertz. Listen to The Key of Wisdom by Forbidden Knowledge on all music stores and streaming devices. So this must be a music streaming channel at 432 Hertz. Okay, Sons of Atlantis, Forbidden Knowledge. Listen to the Sons of Atlantis by Forbidden Knowledge on all music stores and streaming services. So that must be another platform for music, or either, I don't know if it's music or talking or podcasting. I'm not sure. I may check it out myself and listen to it. But there it is, in case you want to check it out. No, those are what they are. Okay, in the book. Now, foreword. So the foreword must be like the introduction. I'm not sure. Let's see. You want me? If y'all wish me to read the foreword, maybe you can get a better understanding or understanding. Okay. So let's read a little bit of it. Okay. We're 11 minutes in, 12 minutes in now. So, forward. All of us, no matter our background or who we are, reach a certain point in our lives where we start to see things around us a little different. I resonate with that deeply. When this happens, we naturally look for answers. This not only includes those from the awakened or new age, thank you, communities, but people from all walks of life who may have never considered our past, future, or why we are here and what makes us the individuals living on this big, beautiful blue planet. As you travel through the information from documentaries, books, lectures, and vast amount of websites on the subject of your focus, whatever it may be, you will eventually find yourself stumbling upon the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Now, keep in mind, I want to remind you, I get something from within. There's a direct correlation between Thoth and the word thought. Okay? So again, as I always say, pay attention to what the words in the names and forms are pointing to. So, thought. Thoth. Keep that in mind as you're going through this. Okay? Alright. The moment this happens, you will ask the same questions about the tablets as so many before you. Is it real? One question. Another question. Where are they? How come I've never heard about them before? Some other questions. Who is Thoth? And so on. And with that, our journey, that quest for knowledge, will continue. One of the biggest issues today that we have with the Emerald Tablets of Thoth is the information, or lack of it, that is available for us to explore. So it's alluding to so much have been hidden. Yes, true. Not just the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, because Thoth was a record keeper. Not just a record keeper, but he did keep records, so even those were kind of hidden. So let's go on. There have been references and translations of it that go back many centuries, and it has been the centerpiece and foundation of alchemists and occult societies for its secrets to the creation of the philosopher's stone, the true alchemical magnum opus. That's something to look up. The philosopher's stone and magnum opus. I consider that it's probably going to allude to it in this book at some point. It must. So we'll stay tuned with this, okay? So, if this is true, it goes on to say, then why are there not volumes written about the Emerald Tablets of Thoth? Roger Bacon, Albertus Magnus, Michael Mayer, Alistair Crowley, and Isaac Newton all wrote about the tablets and did their own translations. All excellent work for the time, but today seems outdated by modern standards. Okay? Now, these names that are mentioned, I know some of these names are mentioned in the midst of some things that are seen to be not so savory. Let's put it that way. But we're not looking at the names. We're looking at what is being pointed to. Keep that in mind. So you are not scared off from this book just because of the names that are mentioned within it. Because names are just a portion of reality. Okay? These names are people who had access to this book. It doesn't speak to what type of people or persons they are. Okay? The information does not discriminate what type of person you are. So, do not be scared away from the information just because of a name mentioned. You get it? Still with me? All right, let's continue if you are. Okay. So now, we're going to go to, from this forward, the last paragraph says, over the last few hundred years, academics who were unfamiliar with the Hermeticism looked mainly at the direct words and didn't attempt to view and interpret the many layers and hidden meanings of the text. There is what exactly I was talking about. Pay attention to what the words are pointing to. So, again, I read, over the last few hundred years, academics who were unfamiliar with the Hermeticism looked mainly at the direct words and didn't attempt to view and interpret the many layers and hidden meanings of the text. They didn't seek understanding. Okay? The pure scientific mindset instead tried to figure out the chemistry and perform the laboratory experimentation to confirm the secret of the prima materia, meaning the prime material, and its transmutation, meaning the prime focus, meaning what it's all pointing to. You get? Okay. There is a lot of information scattered around about who Thoth really was. Not was, is. There is no time from this place. What Hermeticism is, alchemy and philosophy. But to find the real stuff is all but impossible. And its true history and meaning even harder. Putting it all together in one volume with a modern voice for our complex world has not existed until now. Today, Billy Carson brings to our community the compendium of the Emerald Tablets. Beautifully and masterful advertisement, I must say. You put that together well, man. Anyway, finally, we are able to dive deeper into the meaning of what Thoth really intended for us to know. Okay? To explore and discover what is truly important about ourselves and the world around us. There are 3 basic questions that we need answers. Number 1, question 1, where did we come from? Question 2, why are we here? And question 3, where are we going? There's some profound questions and even more profound answers. So, for the enlightened, these questions are basic, but still unanswered, and for those just beginning their quest, they are the biggest questions of all. For some of the enlightened, there are still layers and levels to that, even. For some of the enlightened, it is unanswered, and for others of the enlightened, these questions are answered. No question about it. 100 absolutely, 100% answered. Yes. Okay, so this compendium of the Emerald Tablets will help both groups find the answers they seek, and finally, we all have a modern, fresh take on one of the greatest mysteries of our time, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Okay? So, then there's some references to Jimmy Church, host Fade to Black, September 18th. Jimmy Church, host Fade to Black, fill-in host, Coast to Coast AM History Channel, A&E Networks. Many Jimmy Church Radio, KG, or KG Radio, Coast to Coast, Coast to Coast AM. These are all websites that are referenced in this book. Okay, I guess where you can hear them go over or talk about this book or the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, or for some, I'm just speculating. But if you want to check it out, you can check it out yourself. I'm just offering to mention it because it's mentioned in the book. Preface. Goals of the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, a Beginner's Guide. Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Beginner's Guide. The goal of this book is to provide you with a deep understanding of the profound and ancient knowledge that is your birthright. I will lead you on a journey, referring to Billy Carson, that's authored this book. I will lead you on a journey that will delve into the history of the Emerald Tablets and the secret mysteries contained within these cryptic artifacts. As we begin, it is important for you to know that the Emerald Tablets were written by an ancient being known as Thoth, the Atlantean. Okay? From Atlan. I will explain to you what Atlan is, but I will do that later. Okay? But Atlan is a place. It's a real place. To date, there have been 2 manifestations of the Emerald Tablets. First, thousands of years ago, Thoth created multiple tablets of text and then concealed the location of these ancient tablets. What sparked him to do that? What event occurred that sparked him to do that? I'm sure this book may mention it, may or may not. Okay, second, Thoth chose to incarnate as Hermes, the thrice great. Okay, Hermes, the third great one. As Hermes, he carried a single emerald tablet, or Hermes. What to expect? In the first 2 chapters of this book, I will provide information so you can understand and validate for yourself the role of extraterrestrials, extraterra beings, or manifestations in our history. I will also offer evidence as to how Thoth the Atlantean was influential in our development as humans. Thoth the Atlantean. Chapters 3 through 17 contain the words of Thoth as translated by the American Dr. Michael Doreal. Doreal's translation often uses stanzas, a grouping of lines used in poetry. I have kept this format to make it easy for you to recognize when the words of Thoth begin and when they end. Thank you for that. In each chapter, I add information and commentary to further express the meaning I find in the quotes from Thoth. Okay. Beautifully explained and expressed. So we have a clear way of going about reading this in a very beneficial way, so we don't get confused. Who studied the tablets and when? Seekers of wisdom and knowledge have studied the tablets in the Hermetic tradition up until 1925, Gregorian calendar-wise. Hermeticism is a tradition of study and spirituality based on the writings of Hermes. At that time, Thoth chose to appoint Michael Doreal, also known as Maurice, to locate and translate the original tablets. In this text, I use Michael Doreal's study of the tablets to establish a timeline for the teachings of Thoth. It's not the only one he appointed, but it's the only one that I guess survived the concealments and allowed to be seen as the only one appointed. But yes, let's stay with that. It is important to note that although my study of the Emerald Tablets will focus on the work translated by Dr. Doreal, I have taken the time to mention several other individuals out of the many hundreds who have studied the Emerald Tablets. No, thanks for mentioning that. Yes. Awesome, man. Their extensive research of the Emerald Tablets has dramatically influenced our history as human beings. In addition, I have referenced a significant number of topics, individuals, and modern-day projects that continue to influence the study of the tablets. I include throughout this entire book are links that provide additional information. These links are included to make it easier for you to do your own investigative research. Awesome. I implore you to take notes and make an effort to follow through on your own individual study of the information. There are more materials and research possibilities than space allows for in this book. Okay, there are more materials and research possibilities than the space allows for in this book. I hope that, as your guide, I can accelerate your awakening via the power of this information, and we can expand our consciousnesses together. Yes, it is so. I believe it. Not only believe it, I know it is so. Thank you. And I'm on this journey with you. Many of us are. You're not alone. Never have been. Okay. The preface of Dr. Doreal's translation is a treasure chest of vital information, enabling anyone to establish the mindset needed to understand the importance of the Emerald Tablets. Okay, cool. So here's a table of contents. And I wonder if something very important. A very important writing or information. Very important information here. Now this is reading without reading. If you look at it, there are many things in here. There are the Merkabas and the duality of them, and many different Merkabas, all as one. Many as the one, one as the many. But this is not just that. It stretches across many other expressions, I would say, or information. See? Because you have the macabre facing upward and downward. You have the macabre facing in all different directions. You have all types of geometry. But this is information and message. These are messages, or beyond messages, the origin of messages. This is just another reference, or showing the evidence of the presence that exists, that we refer to as God, the Christ. But this goes deeper. This is information, knowledge, wisdom, communication. I hate to hold this so long, but I'm not trying to hypnotize you or anything, but you get this image in your mind. There is so much to this, and you'll begin to awaken just by looking at this. This is no spell. These are glyphs, what existed before language, and what existed before writings. Okay? This is the beginning of writings. Words come from these glyphs, what we refer to as letters. They come from these shapes that represent things. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I want to give the book the space to explain these things to you if it does. And if it doesn't, then hey, we can go into some of it. I'm not coming off like I know it all. I don't. But I do have an ability to tap into things. And when I tap in, these things are shared. Now, you decide whether they make sense to you or they're useful to you or not. That's up to you. And it's up to you, just like he says in the book, to look for yourself. I'm only aspiring. And so is he. And we inspire and we learn also. You know, we're not the all there is library of all information. We are learning too. We're just able to tap into things a lot easier than others because they may not be paying attention. They may not be aware because they're not paying attention to certain things. That's all. That's all it is. You see? And once you're able to pay attention and become aware of these things from that point of looking, then those things will open up to you. But that information by far is not the most important. The most important is who and what you are. And all the information is the icing on the cake. But it is important. It's not as important as your true self, but it points you to your true self. It is important. So, with that in mind, let's read on. Validating the study of extraterrestrial life. Documenting the study of alien life. They call it Ali in. I'm sending clues and hints as I'm speaking. Look for yourself. First and foremost, I would like to establish that I believe the Emerald Tablets represent the writing of an alien entity named Thoth. He can be considered as an alien or alien. Could be. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The written and physical evidence left on Earth, especially where the Emerald Tablets are concerned, supports that an alien force has purposely engaged with and powerfully influenced humankind. To fully understand the implications that humans have interacted with an alien force throughout history, we must first analyze the word alien or alien. Just the sound of the word alien or alien may incite suspicion, speculation, and even fear. How could such a small word hold such power? Maybe because the decades of negative, overly dramatic programming from television and movies have depicted aliens or aliens as monsters. These terrifying, slimy, and grotesque beings are shown to have arrived with the sole purpose of eradicating humans from the face of Earth. If this is your only understanding of the idea of aliens or aliens, then it would be perfectly natural for you to respond with fear. Our entire universe is dualistic. Just as there are good and bad members of our societies, there are also good and bad aliens or aliens. I believe that good and evil permeates the universe, just as there are light and dark and yin and yang. Very truthful concept or perception. There are also good and bad. Yes. With that said, let us take a much closer look at the word alien or alien. The number one definition of alien or alien, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, defines an alien to be a creature that comes from somewhere other than the planet Earth. The definition then highlights the word extraterrestrial. Now let us look at the definition of the word extraterrestrial and see what this dictionary has to say. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines extraterrestrial as originating, existing, or occurring outside of Earth or its atmosphere. Once you look at history and understand what it means to be an alien or alien, you discover that life did not originate on the planet. Perfect analogy. Absolutely bullseye on the mark. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Okay. Additionally, if we reverse the role and think of the word alien or alien to be in relation with each specific planet, the word can become quite entertaining. For example, my thoughts of the word alien turn to humor when I realize Earthlings that travel to the moon would be considered as aliens in relation to the moon. That is true. The Mars project is on track to sending travelers to the red planet within our lifetime, to which we will arrive as aliens to Mars. If we continue our travels and encounter other life forms, we will be the alien visitors. We will be the alien visitors, yes. And I would like to think that to them, we will not be considered as grotesque monsters. That is, if we do not behave that way. Do aliens exist in our solar system, in our galaxy, or in the universe? Absolutely. But I'll let the book try to answer it. Movies and television shows, as well as thousands of internet sites, wrestle with the idea that there is life other than humans that can travel the cosmos. Historically, this was a far-fetched topic used only in discussions of the imagination. Today, the idea of aliens is no longer so implausible or unbelievable. Mainline religious groups and entire academic departments in major universities give serious thought to the subject of aliens or aliens and extraterrestrials, two words that I use interchangeably. Okay. How have those in authority within Western civilization approached the study of life beyond Earth, beyond planet Earth? Okay, so it's getting close to me being having to get ready to get rolling here, but I'm going to read this last paragraph, and I would like to even read the Catholic Influencer Now Awareness of Alien or Alien Presence. I would like to read that, but it's getting close to me being able to leave or having to leave in order for me to be on time at my destination. So I'm only going to read this last section entitled, How Have Those in Authority Within Western Civilization Approached the Study of Life Beyond Planet Earth? I'm going to read that, and then we're going to cut short there, and we'll continue later, okay? But I want to thank Billy Carson for putting together this book and the many other things that you shared. And I also watch Black Magic 363. I watch that show. I want to thank the host, and I want to thank many of you for coming out and bringing these things out and not being afraid to bring it out. Because there are many of us who we resonate with that, and we also learn. We have much to share, and we also have much to learn. But thank you for that, and to let you know that you're not alone. You are one of many, and many as the one. You are still one, and we are still one, but we are also many. So you're not alone. So know that you are greatly appreciated. Keep doing what you're doing. We walk in tandem with you, whether you see us or not. We're all here. We're with you. We may seem cuckoo, but we walk among you freely because maybe some of us are seen as cuckoo, but we're not so cuckoo. Okay? You're not alone. You never have been. But with that being said, let me continue this. How have those in authority within Western civilization approached the study of life beyond planet Earth? It goes on to say, in the most ancient of times, many great teachers and philosophers had no problem studying the had no problem studying and hypnotizing about outer space. I'll read that again. In the most ancient of times, many great teachers and philosophers had no problem studying and hypnotizing about outer space, referring to the cosmos. The arrival of the Christian church stymied beliefs regarding the study of the heavens and refused to consider the possibility that there was life outside the boundaries of mankind. By the times of the Renaissance and the Enlightenment, most mainline academics were afraid to reveal the full extent of their discoveries in science and philosophy. Today, the findings of astronomers, physicists, biologists, and archaeologists are more acceptable than at any time in the last 5 centuries. The next paragraph says, almost 400 years after the Roman Inquisition jailed Galileo in 1633, Gregorian calendar time, for challenging the view that the earth was the center of the universe, the church is preparing to celebrate his life and scientific discoveries. The church of the 21st century has taken a more modern and academic approach regarding Galileo's findings, as well as supporting the belief that there is life beyond planet Earth. The scientific revolution became an inescapable force, irreproachable even by the power of the church. Now, I want to explain that a little bit, because the challenge that the earth was the center of the universe was greatly misunderstood. What it was saying is that, just like the teachings that Aten Akin was trying to point out, or the pointings that Aten Akin was trying to point out, is that the self is the source of origin of source. And even though you may travel far to the extent, to the corners of the cosmos, what you were going to find is what you already are now. You see? No matter what location you are, no matter what locale you are perceiving from, it is all from this origin place, this source of origin that you and I are, the I that am. Even Thoth is this. Even Ra is this. You see? Even Aten, Akin, and Amun, and Atun, and Unpu, and Inpu, and Inki, and Enlil, and all of these are the consciousness in its many plays. This is what it is. This is what you and I are. But again, I digress because I don't want to take away from the book, so let's keep reading the book. All right, so the scientific revolution became an inescapable force, irreproachable even by the power of the church. So that was the last of that paragraph. So it goes on to say, the next paragraph, starting in 1757, the church removed the ban on Galileo's scientific works. Yet it was not until 1984 that the venerable being spelled Venerable. The venerable Pope John Paul II verbally admitted that Galileo suffered wrongful persecution for his beliefs regarding space and beyond, using the phrase imprudently opposed. Okay? Because of the misunderstanding of the true self, when it says know thyself or know the self, because of the misunderstanding of what that phrase is pointing to, this happened to Galileo. And Galileo was opposing because those who misunderstood it thought that it was referring to, and those teachings that that phrase has something to do with, that came also from the halls of Amenti, that teaching was referring to the world and the earth and everything being the center of the universe. No, it was referring to the God consciousness, not only being the center of the universe, but the origin that all universes and multiverses arise within and dissipate within. But again, I don't want to keep going into that, but I just want there to be some clarity. So when we're looking at these things, we see it in a form of clarity. Okay? We're looking from the origin place, and we're not aware of it. We think we're separate from it. We think we're so far away. When faster than light is thought, and faster than thought. Faster than light is thought, Thoth, and faster than thought is the God consciousness, which is what Thoth also is, and you and I also are. And all deities, names, forms are this source, this God consciousness. Okay? So, I'm going to continue on to the next paragraph. The last paragraph of this section up here, if I can get it to focus. There's so much light that it's blotting it out. There we go. This last paragraph up here, I'm reading. So, Galileo was not the only famous scientist during the Renaissance. Seeking to understand our link into the heavens, in the 15th century, Copernicus worked his entire life establishing the heliocentric nature of our solar system, proving that the sun is the center of our solar system instead of Earth. Okay? He based his studies on long ignored documents from ancient Greece. Now, even though the book doesn't say system, it says proving that the sun is the center of our solar instead of Earth. I know it probably meant to say system because it's referred to popularly as system. Okay. But, okay, let's go in. During the course of his research, he became convinced that we were not alone in the universe. Copernicus's research finally reached publication while he lay on his deathbed, and thus was left without reproach, because it would have been unthinkable to harass a dying man in the same ways Galileo had been harassed. See, so they gave grace to Copernicus because he was on his dying bed, so to speak, and they felt guilty for attempting to harass him in the same way they had harassed Galileo for opposing popular beliefs, which is often even done to this day, but it's breaking now because that is seen to be insufficient. Challenging someone just because their beliefs may be different and they're not as the norm. That's insufficient. You cannot grow that way. If you stay in the norm, how can you grow? How will you grow, child of God? Will you remain a child forever? What happens to the child of God when it matures? Is it still a child, or has it grown into God? At some point, you must cross that threshold, that veil. You see? And you must see from the perspective that God is looking from. You cannot see from the perspective of a child looking up to God. You must be one. At some point, you must become one. You must be bold enough to say, I and the Father are one at some point. But it must not just be a saying. It must be the living or you must be the living evidence of that being so. Okay? It's not something that happens overnight, maybe for some, but for the vast majority, it does not happen overnight. So don't expect it to, but stay with it. Don't stop. Stay with it. You're more than this body in this physical world. Always have been. So, we'll continue this. The next section, again, I said Catholic influence on our awareness of alien presence. So, I'll try to start from there next time, right? I don't think we're going to go through this whole book, but I'm going to read a good portion of it, maybe, and share with you. And that will be some content that I can share with you. If you like this content and me doing this, please like, subscribe if you wish. And if you feel the need to do anything else, do it. I welcome it. But I'm not asking because I'm not really in need, But if it's offered, it's greatly appreciated. So I thank you either way. I just thank you for tuning in. I thank you for listening. I thank you for having the urge to even want to listen. You see? Gratitude. With that being said, we're going to end this here and continue later. I wish above all things you prosper as your soul prospers. Okay? Your soul, your conscious awareness. And as you begin to look within, you begin to be more aware of the bigger picture instead of the picture you think you're in right now being all there is. Okay? I love you. Until next time we talk, you be well. You be safe.